Welcome back to Mr. Orth's Classroom for Grammar, looking at problem subjects. Collective nouns are nouns which name either a group of people or things, but they also can be either singular or plural. For example, team or teams, class or classes, herd or herds, school or schools. Other problem subjects include words that end in S which actually are going to be singular. Words like civics, economics, social studies, measles, mathematics. They're really only one course or one illness, even though they end in S. Proper noun titles represent one play, one book, or one poem. Examples of the movie Transformers. Even though there's an S in the title, it's still in this title one movie, not necessarily the whole series or all the different individual objects. Also be mindful of numbers that represent one amount, which is 5 minutes or 1/3. When you're in doubt with collective nouns, add members of in front of the noun to see if the collective noun refers to the group acting as individuals. So for example, members of the jury. Is it members of the jury discuss or members of the jury discusses the evidence? So in terms of the verb, is it something that they do all at once as a group, or is it only individuals in that group do so? If it is, then you treat it as being plural, as in members is the word plural. If it's the whole group acting as one, then you treat it as though it's singular. Example down below, the minority of the pizza was or were eaten before we arrived. Members of the minority makes no sense because it's only a fraction, a portion of that pizza was. So it's a singular part of that pizza. All right, some examples. An orchestra consists of a large group of musicians. So is it members of the orchestra consists of a large group of musicians, or is it one orchestra as a whole consists of a large group of musicians? In this case, members of the orchestra consists of a large group. That doesn't really make sense for me, so I'm going to go ahead and choose one whole orchestra consists, and that'll be the option I'll select. Whereas with the example of 75 is or are the typical number of members in a symphony orchestra. It's a number, 75, and that's more than one, so we might think it's plural. But the question is in a sentence, is 75 considered one amount? Well, it is. So it is one amount. And is going to be your verb choice. How about the example, collective noun again, of this crowd of music lovers is or are willing to wait even longer? So is it the whole crowd or just only members of the crowd? Well, probably not every last person in the crowd because some people will be impatient. So we'll say just some members of the crowd are. Even more, this is tough. Majority of the student body participate or participates in co-curricular activities. Is it majority as in members of the majority, or only majority as a whole? In this case, it's going to be majority of the members of the student body. Again, it's not just one group as a whole making a vote or decision. It's individuals doing individual things. Therefore, we treat it as plural. There's no question this is confusing. And even taking your time, you might be stuck. If this is the only place where you miss points on the post-test, I wouldn't worry about it. The reality is most times when we write, we add other phrases in or choose our words carefully enough that it's not really a concern in the writing. But when it comes to grammar tests, especially standardized ones, it's stuff that you should be aware of and know how to stop and slow down, and at least have the members of test to apply. Last one. The jury state or states that the woman is not guilty. Is it the members of the jury state that or the whole jury together? Well, in terms of guilty or not guilty, it's the whole jury has to decide that with one vote. And so the jury states, like it's singular. Do your practice, and you may even want to have your teacher go through every single item on the practice just to be sure you get as much feedback as you can. Good hunting.